Hello. So, this is going to be a video to kind of show what not to do, how not to build a factory in Satisfactory. So, this is kind of the current version of a factory, and that is just an absolute mess. You can actually see some of my ramps there off in the distance going to some supplies. So let's just go down in here and I'll show you the hub. The hub is what you start with, for those of you that haven't played the game. Yep, we're just gonna have to navigate around some shit here. Okay, and hey, there's the hub. Here's the thing you start with, that you start building first, and just see that it's completely surrounded. It is an absolute spider web. So, first things first, we'll go to where I'm getting my iron ore. So, I've actually got 2 iron ore little mines there, the drills. Going to storage. And that's being split to go into various places where it's being either turned into different types of bars or being split to turn into bars and rods. And yeah, just to try and get an aerial view of just how ridiculous that right there is. So that one storage is splitting off into 1, 2, 3, 4, inevitably 5 different directions. So these are, for the most part, Tier 5 or Mark 5 conveyors. So let's just follow this. Frame drop right there. So ore comes out, goes back this way into this that makes rods, and I'm gonna. Okay, I don't know where this is gonna launch me, so we'll just see where it go. And okay, so barely. Oh, okay. You see some crisscross here. Whoa. Continuing this train here. Let's see. Here's a constructor turning those into screws. These screws then go all the way into this manufacturer, where it's being used to create heavy modular frames. Oh, getting a little radiation there. So let's back up. Whoa! Okay, so another thread, or ingots, bars being split into 2 different locations. So this one's creating screws, and the bars are both going in here to then make rotors. Rotors feeding into this machine here to make motors. I'm probably going to be taking lots of radiation damage as I go through this, because all up there is nuclear. So we'll get to that eventually. Okay. So this thread. Ore and coal becoming steel. Steel's going, whoa, over here, becoming steel beams. Steel beams are coming out, mixing with concrete, become encased beams, which are another component on the heavy modular frame. We got one more component to the heavy modular frames, so we'll go with that real quick. Those steel ingots are also coming out of the storage here, going to this machine, turning into steel pipes. Steel pipes are going to be turned into the heavy frames, as well as mixing with copper wire, becoming these stators, which are being piped as a component for motors, as well as following this conveyor. Oh, this is only a 3, so it's actually manageable in speed. All the way back here, mixing with AI limiters and becoming nuclear control rods, or electromagnetic control rods. So, okay. So now, the last of the iron threads on this one at least are both being turned into iron ingots. This one splitting off into 2 different directions. I'll go this way first. This one is going over here, turning into iron rods. Iron rods are then piped over to split. Or actually, this is not split. This is these 2 coming together to make these modular frames with reinforced plates. And these modular frames are the last component of those heavy frames. All the way over here. So yeah, all of that for just these 4 things to make one item. Now head back over. Okay, so this direction is going up here. And this is turning ingots into iron plates. And basically that is an elaborate way for 2 different branches of iron ingots to feed into the same storage for iron plates, because I needed so many. Iron plates are being... Whoa! I hit a ramp at some point. Iron plates are going into this assembler so that it does reinforced iron plates mixed with screws. These screws are coming from this outside ingot path, being turned into iron rods. And on the top is where they go over to become the reinforced, and on the bottom is where they become screws. So that is everything that is iron. Copper. Copper is still pretty basic because I've only needed it for one source. So it is just slowly moving down here, still with like the tier 1 starter conveyor belt. Becomes an ingot. Fills this storage up, which you can see it's at capacity. And then it is turned into wire, where the wire is split. So the first thing it does is it comes over here, comes back around, mixes with plastic, and becomes circuit boards. Then the circuit boards are put over here where they're mixed with quick wire and rubber, become computers, as well as they are diverted across here. Mixed with quick wire as well, and they become the AI limiters, which are then transferred into those control rods. And I'll save all, like, that's all going for nuclear. I'll save that for the end because then I gotta switch to my hazmat suit so I don't die. Running back for copper. Okay. So out of the top of this copper ingot mixer here is... They come up to the second floor here, where it is mixed with aluminum ingots. Becomes the alkali aluminum sheets, which that's where they all dump to, and that's kind of the stopping point of that. That's mainly used for very specific items, such as conveyors or things that you really don't need to automate, at least with the current iteration. So that's where that all stops, and that is everything copper. So for, let's see. Oh boy. Okay, so actually, let's do coal. It's way out there. I'll have to run. So coal is actually, you can see it coming from far off there, and it's kind of being piped in. So we're gonna move a little bit faster here. And you'll see just how ridiculous my setup is, because as of right now, I haven't figured out how to do all the truck transportation or the trains. Thankfully, since this is all Mark V, getting back will be much quicker than running out here. So, this is where I found the closest coal. So I have a coal generator powering the coal mine, the coal digger there. Coal splits off, feeding the fuel, and then it goes straight into little thing here. All the way. Jump. Oh, nope, diverted. Okay. Okay. Then right here, it splits again. Jesus. Okay. From this spot, this storage, it actually goes into that smelter right there, mixing with iron becomes steel, and it mixes with iron ore right there, becoming steel. So I've got two different steel ingot producers. This top branch is where the fun happens, and I am gonna put my jetpack back on because this is gonna launch me. Okay. And actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab all of these. So we're going to do some upgrading on the way. Whoa! Because we're going on a journey. That's the nice thing about this. If you have lower level conveyors, as long as you've got the materials for the next level, you can literally just replace as you go. So eventually I will have all tier 5. But as you can see, I just ran out. So, okay. So we go all the way out from the base, go up this massive ramp. And so this is the same ramp that I used to get up to where we're going here, which is a crystal deposit. As you can see on the left-hand side, that's where the crystals are coming back. Whoa, whoa. I'll cut that one a little sharp. Alright. So, all this coal is being piped all this way to fuel another coal generator. And this coal generator is strictly for these two crystal mines. With my current power generation, I could run a wire all the way back to the base and completely nix this out, which I may do that just for cleanliness, but we'll see. So, since we're out here, we've got these two crystals coming in, becoming one conveyor, and then making the journey back. And this is literally how I would get back to base most of the time. Just riding the conveyors, and obviously, like I said, once I've got everything upgraded to Mark V, it'll be much faster. There's my vehicle. I need to go snag that. Okay. Detour while I go get my vehicle. Uh-oh. Immediately ran out of my filters there. That's awesome. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're just going to follow the crystals back. Ugh. Okay, alright, so there's the crystal on the bottom rung there. Oh, nice stutter. This is also early access, if you can't tell in the top left. Okay, so crystals are going to this storage, which is going in two different directions. So we'll take this top one first. Whoa! Okay, yep, that's what happens when you got those Mark Vs. Okay, so the crystals, the quartz, is being turned into silica. Silica is piped over here, mixing with bauxite to become aluminum ingots, and then aluminum ingots go into storage, and once again mixed with copper to become those plates. So just to see, and I'll snag those. Okay. The bottom of those go down here and just become the quartz crystal. There's not much use for that unless you're making oscillators, which there's not much that requires oscillators, honestly, so I've just been making those by hand. No reason really to automate that portion yet. A second. Heal up. Okay. Okay. So, next. Oil. So we've got a bit of a trek on this one too. So I set up for the closest oil, and we gotta drive. And to think, I didn't get to drive. Everything that I've done up to this point has been on foot. Austin powers in a little bit. And we'll just drive through here. Yeah, you're gonna think this is pretty ridiculous what I'm doing. It's not exactly efficient, but honestly, it has worked really well. I've not had to go out to where I mine coal, crystal, or oil since I did their setup. So it seems to be working pretty well. Okay, looks like I'm gonna just drive off here. Hopefully this works. Hey, sweet. Okay. I may have to build some impromptu roads if this screws up. Whoa. Okay, alright. Thanks, camera. Alright, so this is where the oil is. I've actually got 2 patches, but I only need 1. So I have the oil line, the oil platform here, pumping oil into a splitter. One goes back to the base, one goes to a refinery, creating fuel, and there's a fuel generator, and that's all it does is it maintains those 2 things. I'm going to steal some fuel. Oops. Nope, not drive. Workbench. And just gonna fuel it back up. .40 turnaround. Oh, don't flip over. Come on now. Okay, alright. Whoa! Hey, physics! Come on. Okay. Alright. I'll just rebuild it whenever I get back. Okay. Whoop. Come on, come on. Now, another thing to keep in mind is invariably, I did not have enough resources when I first built this, so it was much a case of build the conveyor as far as I could go, and then have to run back to base, pick up more resources, run back out here, and then continue on. So not knowing exactly how much is needed before attempting this sucks. So at least a little bit of cleanup here. I now have the quartz and oil stacked on each other. And that's whenever I have it converge with the bauxite and the uranium. Okay, so vehicle, let's explore. At least the nice thing about it is when you break something down, it returns all of its materials. Alright, so oil goes into this storage, and then it gets piped out right here, where it's split two different ways, and actually right there as well. So first off, it goes here, where it is converted into fuel, and fuel is pumped into these three generators for electricity. The other route goes up here, where it converts into rubber. And then rubber's got a little bit of a track. Wah! Where it is the last component of a computer. Okay, so the top portion goes into this splitter, where it goes here. It becomes plastic. And then, like you said, plastic becomes a circuit board. It also comes back through here, up and around, where it comes into another refiner, where it becomes fuel and is generating these two electricities right here. Are the... You know what I mean. I'm not even going to try to fix that statement. So that is all oil. Next is aluminum. Actually, how many... I've got 4 filters. Sure, I'll be fine. Famous last words. So this one we're going to take a hard left. Too hard of a left. Okay. Go underneath here. So, aluminum and uranium are very close to each other because they're coming from the same elevated location. So, I might be taking a lot of damage here. Okay. As long as I'm taking a little damage, I've got my health inhaler here. Yep. Yep. Like I said, this is how not to make your factory. This is absolutely damaging and inefficient as possible. Whenever I actually go after where I'm getting the uranium, which I'll show before I head back, I'll actually put on a hazmat suit. I'm not taking too much damage. I mean, I've taken maybe 2 bars at this point. And these inhalers are full heals. Make it? Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah, right there on the track with uranium. That's smart. That was a little bit more damaging. Okay, so as you see, I did run a cable just out here to power these two drills. So up here, and I gotta watch for enemies because they're pretty thick up here and dangerous. So this was the closest bauxite site, so that's how far I had to go to get to home. And then we'll actually follow where uranium is because it's even farther. And I'm trying to just keep it in eyesight without actually getting close. Okay, gonna take some damage here. Okay. Oh, hi. Hey, buddy. Ran right by you. We're gonna collect you because those guys are rare. Those slugs come in 3 varieties: green, yellow, and purple, and they become little crystalline shards you can overclock your systems with. Green gives you 1, yellow gives you 2, but purple gives you 5. So it's just increasing the speed in which you can make everything at the cost of consuming more energy. So that is that. Yep, and I'm taking lots, and yep, just a quick look. Once we're back at base, I will show you the actual distances traveled for those different markers. Actually, yeah, let's go for that. Pull out the beat stick just in case enemies decide they want to get fresh. And yeah, I'm not writing this because I've only got 4 filters for the hazmat, and actually that would be quicker. Oh, I'm stuck on a bamboo. Whoa, okay. Alright, so didn't take much of a filter to get back to this point. So let us go back to base. I'm already giving myself a bit of anxiety for what I'm about to do. Okay, so to minimize the radiation damage I'm about to have, and just get down quicker. For those of you that know me well, yeah, I've got a fear of heights, so this is not fun, but it's quick. Okay, alright. should make a plant. Or just get rid of coal. Alright. Okay, so aluminum. Aluminum goes upstairs. And it is strictly used to make the aluminum ingots and this alclad aluminum sheet. Now for uranium, go ahead and put a hazmat suit on. So I have it piped around the outside edge, just so I've got a little bit more room to deal with inside the base without becoming irradiated. But it goes out in this direction. And it is mixing with concrete to become uranium cells. These uranium cells are then piped over into this assembler or manufacturer, where I have the industrial beams being piped from down below, as well as the rods, and they are becoming nuclear fuel rods. The fuel rods, yeah, we're putting that back on. The fuel rods are then shot over this direction into my nuclear reactor here, the power plant. As you can see, it's got a max of 50, but since I've got a couple of these overclocks, right now it's producing 2,500 megawatts, but we'll overclock that by 2, so it is doing 4,260. So as you can see, this was normal, and now my total grid is at 55, and I'm using currently, you know, less, like 10% of that. If all the machines are actually working, because a lot of them are on standby right now because they've produced the most they can in their chain without just like sitting still. Obviously, I'd be using a lot more. I think my peak was 2,200 at one point in time. But the last little bit is the nuclear reactor there does produce waste. So nuclear waste is, I've got 3 full storages just to make sure that it doesn't overflow and start irradiating everything. And as you can see, there's 21 barrels there, so they should be all pretty much evenly split. And dang it! Okay. So, oh yeah, see, I just got real close to that storage and jumped up immediately. So this is where I started, just to give you a platform. Oh, didn't even say, that's a radar tower. I used it once just to see how it would work, and it's alright. Oh, I almost forgot. So I mentioned Quickwire earlier. That uses a different material to make it. I didn't show you where that's coming from. So we ran past it earlier. Taking some damage there. Okay, alright. So that's Quickwire. There is another material I completely glossed over. So let's get our running boots on. And it's this Caterium ore. Okay. And this one thankfully isn't as far. It's a little bit farther than the coal, but not by much. It's nowhere near the distance that I had to run for oil, uranium, and bauxite. Okay. Whoops. Did not make that jump. So there's this little, not quite of an island, but a big pillar coming off out of the water here. And this is where I get that ore. And then I'll just ride it back. This is at least a level 3, so it's a little bit quicker than running. Unless the game stutters. If I time my jumps just right, I don't have to worry about it clipping in the ground. That's actually, me moving forward doesn't really change the speed at all. I'm literally just going the speed of the conveyor. Okay, so this is, there we go. Yep, I knew I got, at some point they were better. Alright, so that's going into storage. It is converted into an ingot, and the ingot is turned into the wire. So that's pretty much all it's doing. And then I have it split off going into here with the circuit boards, and that's what's going to AI limiter. And also going up and over all the way back over here. We're a component of a computer. And so this is the ground level of my spider web. I don't know where I'm getting radiation damage from. But so as you can see, it is just a flat, jumbled mess. This is probably my favorite spot of the jumbled mess, just because there's so many, as you can see, like, you know, conveyors coming in, around, on poles, just to make sure that everything works, you know, doing 180s and everything like that. So yeah, how not to Satisfactory.